Okay everyone, this is Al from BluFo Innovations again. As promised, this is the last video of this section before we jump into another section that I'm really excited about, which is JavaScript. Before we do that, I want to make our website look a little bit more complete. So today we're going to attach a couple of external resources. We're going to add a new font to our web page. We're also going to change these to the social media icons down here. And then the last thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to add some pages to this website. So the first thing we're going to do is add a Google font. If you remember from one of our earlier styling lessons, we added a font to the body element, but it was kind of just a generic font. We only had a few options. And if you're building a website, you're usually going to want something that looks more unique and beautiful. And so we're going to attach a Google font. And to do that, we're going to go to fonts.google.com. And once you're there, if you've never used Google Fonts before, Google has all of these fonts that are really beautiful and they're free to use. You can download them, or they've made it really easy to add them to your website. So find the font that's right for you. Either scroll through here or do a search. I'm going to choose this one, Poppins. It's just very simple, but it's modern, very clean. I like that. I'm going to pick it. And once you're here, you can see they have a bunch of different versions of this font. You even can put in your own text to preview. So if I were to say, website tutorial, it will preview that text for me. There's thin ones, bold ones, italicized. I'm just going to take the regular one. So I'll add this here, and you can see this little window pops out. And it's giving me the code to add it to my website. And if you take a look at what we have here with these links, it may look a little bit familiar to you, because we did something like this already. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click here to just copy this text. It actually copied this code, and now we need to add it to our HTML file. So again, when we added links the last time, we added our style sheet, our style.css file, right? And now we're going to do the same thing. Right above that line, I'm going to add those links I just copied, which is for the Google font. I'll get my spacing, I'll even, and save it. That's great. I've added the font, but there's one more thing I need to do, because you can see it gives me another line of code, and this should also look very familiar. This is just our CSS property. So now I'm going to copy that and go back into our style sheet. And up at the top, remember we added our font family here. I'm just going to replace this line of text with that copied one. There it shows my new font, Poppins, and then it gives you a backup font. If for some reason it can't reach the Poppins font, it'll default to sans serif. And now if I save it, it should have changed the font on our entire website, which it did. That's kind of cool, right? Everything looks a little bit newer, a little bit more fresh. So that's a pretty easy way to change the font on your website. So what about those social media icons? Well, we're going to do something very similar, and there's many different ways of adding icons to your site, but today I'm going to use a website called fontawesome.com. So go there and take a couple minutes to set up your profile. I already have a profile. So once you've done that, it's going to ask you to create a kit. A kit is basically just a collection of icons you can use. I've done that already as well. And here it is, tutorial site. And here it is. It's giving me the code again, and it's even telling me to copy it to my website's head section. So let's go ahead and do that just like we did with the Google font. I'm going to copy it, and then as a new line in my head section, I'm going to paste that code. That's great. And now we have just one more thing we need to do, which is actually add the icon elements into our HTML. So let's go back to Font Awesome. And at the top, I'm going to click on Icons. And now I'm going to search for what I want. I think the first one we had was Instagram. Great, and it has a couple of options here. I'm actually going to choose this sort of outlined version of it. And here it is. Here's our HTML element. So again, I'll click on that to copy it. And now we need to just put it into our HTML document. So if I scroll down to where our social media icons are, I'm going to replace this Instagram text with that element. And now I'm going to do the same for Twitter and YouTube. So let's go back here. I'm going to search Twitter or X. I'll use the new X logo. Copy that one as well. Paste. And the last one is YouTube. There's a couple different options. I'll just take this very basic one. And now if I save my page, let's take a look. Oh, there they are. They're pretty tiny, but they're there nevertheless. And now we can style these icons any way that we want, just like their text. So I'm going to do that real quick by creating a class. I'm going to go into my CSS file and create a class called social. And I'm going to give that a couple different properties. I'm going to say font size, and we'll say double XL. And then I'm going to give it a little bit of padding to space them out a bit. So we'll just give it 10 pixels of padding. Save that. Now we'll apply that class to our icons. So we have our eye elements here, and they already have a couple of classes. That's from Font Awesome. But I'm going to add in social, and I'll add that to the other two elements as well. Social and social. And now, if we take another look at our icons, that looks great. And remember, these are links. So if you hover over them, they'll change to our nice pink color, just like our other links. Looks great. Which brings us to the last change we want to make. Let's add a couple of pages to our website. To do that, we'll go into our project directory, and I'm going to create a new HTML file. We'll start with a JavaScript page. So I'll call mine javascript.html. And from here, we could start over new, or we can just copy everything from our index.html. So I'm going to do that by selecting all, and then Control-C to copy, and we'll paste this in our new javascript.html page. And once it's here, we're going to make just a couple of changes. First of all, I want to change a title, so it's just JavaScript, and it's still part of our website tutorial. So I'll include that in there. And then we want to keep our header the same, but it's really here. It's everything inside of our main section that we're going to want to be different. So I'm going to delete that out of there. And now I'm just going to add a header. And we'll just say JavaScript. And I'm going to save that for now. We'll get this working and view this page, and then we'll add a little bit more to it. To do that, I'm going to go back into our index.html, and I'm going to go to our nav bar. And then we left a hashtag here, but I'm going to replace that with javascript.html, with the HTML file we just created. And now if I save it and go back to our website, I can click on this link, and it'll take me to the JavaScript page. Remember, we don't have anything there except for an H1 header. So that's working well so far. Let's just add a little bit more to this page real quick. So I'm going to go back to our javascript.html. And inside our main section, we're going to add a couple of paragraphs, which is a p tag. Now, I don't have any text to put in this paragraph yet, but I'll show you another tool that web developers like to use, and that's lorem ipsum. So you can either search for lorem ipsum, or you can download a plugin like I have that gives you this Latin text, and that can kind of be used as placeholder text. So I'm going to come in here and copy a couple paragraphs of text. Paste that in there, and then we'll add a couple more. Get the second paragraph. And just one more to really make our page look full. And this is great. You can always come back and replace this text at any time. Now I'll save that, and let's take a look at our page. Yeah, looks great. Looks nice and full. Now I'm going to go back to our home page, and then to create our other couple pages, I'm just going to duplicate that javascript.html file. So I'm going to go in here. We're going to select copy. I'm going to paste a couple of times, rename them. So I'm going to say html.html, which sounds a bit funny, and css.html. And then I'll make a couple of adjustments to those files. So first of all, we'll change this to HTML. And then we'll change our title down here to HTML. Save that one, and then we'll do the same for CSS. So our title in the head will be CSS, and then our title down here will be CSS. But we still need those links to work. So I'll go back into my index.html. And we'll change this to css.html, html.html. Save that. And then I'm going to update the links at the bottom of the page. Remember, we had 2 navigation bars. So I'll do the same down here. And those links all should work now, except there's one last thing we need to do. So if I go here, I can navigate, but my links aren't going to work. Do you know why? Well, it's because we've only updated the links in our index.html. So now that we've updated those, let's just copy our nav bar, and we need to replace it in those other HTML files. So if we go in here, I'm just going to delete and then paste that one with the updated links. Replace that one and replace this one. And then we need to do the same for the bottom navigation bar. So I'm just going to take our unordered list, copy that, and update it in the other 3 HTML pages. Now, typically, you would not do it in this order, but just for demonstration, I wanted to show you this way of doing it. So now I've updated everything, and if I save it, we should be able to freely navigate about our website. We have 3 pages, and I've actually realized there is one thing missing, which is a link back to our home page. So what I'm going to do is create a link around our logo here. To do that, let's go back into our index.html, and we're going to turn that logo into a link by putting an anchor tag around it, and we're going to say href and then just a slash. That will tell it to go to the home page. And I want to make sure this anchor tag goes around my image. And then again, I'm going to need to copy this and replace the logo in those other HTML files, otherwise the link won't work on every page. So let me do that. I need to always remember to save each page after I make changes. And now if we take a look at our website, everything should work. And when I click on the logo, there we go. We go back to the home page, but we can also navigate to our other pages. And I would say this website is pretty complete. It's not the most beautiful website that I've ever built, but we've really covered a lot of ground. And more importantly, I'm excited to move on to JavaScript, which is going to be a really, really fun group of lessons. But you've done a great job making it this far. We've learned a lot of material throughout HTML and CSS, and I'm really excited to take the next step with you.